Hey, what's up, you guys? My name is Mike Shinoda. Probably best known as the vocalist and songwriter-producer for the band Linkin Park. And Fort Minor was a side project I did as well. And I wanted to talk today about criticism. I think criticism, for me, I think I'm generally pretty good at dealing with criticism. Maybe that comes from having parents who themselves were generally pretty good about dealing with criticism. My mom she was a court reporter. She actually was born and raised in a medium-large family in West Virginia. My dad was first generation born in the U.S., Japanese, and was interned during World War II, and also had a very big family. And from that, I think there's just like a lot of voices and a lot of stuff that you grow up, around, and you don't have. There's always maybe not arguments, but like differing opinions always, happening. And I went to school here in California. I'd always thought I was going to be an artist. I'd always wanted to be a designer or illustrator. And music was just something my mom made me do so that I could get into a good college. I did 10 to 12 years of piano. But I did art in school. Every chance I had to take an elective, I'd take art. When I got into ArtCenter, at the time they were only letting like 10 to 15 people in from high school each semester. So I was really lucky to get in. There were not many people my age. Everybody was older and more experienced. They knew what they were talking about. And, a lot of pressure and a lot of work. And you would take your art and you'd put it up on the rail for the rest of your classmates to basically tell you, you'd spent 40 hours on the thing, and you put them all up there, and everybody would tell each other why their thing is broken or terrible. And I really took. I feel like I took that the ability to sort through criticism and to there's a certain amount of I didn't know what to call it at the time, but emotional intelligence to the reception of ideas that are different from yours. Either, hey, I don't agree with you, or hey, I think you missed something. So those are two different things. And in my band, once the band took off, it was a hobby at one point, and the next thing we knew, we were headlining festivals all over the world. And everything was on the line. There were always conversations and arguments and differing opinions, whether we were in the studio trying to write the best song we could, or we want to put a set list together. I think these songs should be on it, or I don't think those songs should be on it. And so dealing with criticism and dealing with opinions and people's emotions has always been something that I take seriously. And I think that it's something that is very timely too right now. People are, whether, in the news cycle and in general, in for years now, I've felt like there's a certain, some social media and some online communities really set themselves up to maximize drama and maximize disagreement and clashes. So learning how to take a deep breath and say, you know what, we disagree, and I'm going to listen, and you're going to listen. And we have to, first of all, take the tone down, and then second, realize that sometimes we're not going to agree, and we're not coming from the same place, and that's okay. At ArtCenter, we learned that sometimes, when you're told, I would put it this way, whenever I was told at school or in my career, when somebody said, well, you can either have this or you can have that, you can't have both. I would always perk up because I would always think, that's like a really good design opportunity. Somebody said, like, the classic one is, oh, you're making music. You can't be artistically, you can't have artistic integrity and also be commercially successful. But why not? Why not? I think some of the best things out there are things that do both. And that's, so I've always looked at it like, I want to have my cake and eat it too. I want to be able to take two things that they say I can't have at the same time and have them both. It's all about making design decisions. Right now, the way that plays into like what I'm doing right now, on June 26th, I'm releasing an album of instrumental tracks that are, it's a smaller release. It's super fun. And I made all the songs and all the art live on Twitch, online. And the way that works, one of the ways that works is I show up every weekday at 10 a.m. and in a couple of hours, I make something from scratch. I show up with nothing and I make something from scratch. And there are various ways I get the fan base to, anybody who's there can participate and suggest things and tell me things that are great and tell me things that are stupid. And again, that like listening to people talk and listening to criticism, I'm not going to be perfect at it every time. Somebody's going to be in there with a bad attitude or whatever, possibly. But generally, I find that community, number one, developing that community over time, it tends to be very positive. And if my attitude is like, I want this to be a positive experience and I'm projecting that, then so far it's been a very positive thing. We have a lot of fun. It's totally unpredictable. Like sometimes I sit down and 2 hours later we've got garbage. And that's part of the process. That's part of the creative process. It's part of what makes it exciting. It's part of what keeps me showing up each day for the stream. So anyway, if you do want to check that out, and we could talk more about this. That's what's nice about that type of a thing is that if you show up on twitch.tv/official Mike Shinoda, then this thing that I'm talking about right now, you can come into the chat and we can talk more about it. I can also be found on Mike Shinoda, at Mike Shinoda on Facebook and Twitter. I can be found at M_Shinoda on Instagram and official Mike Shinoda on Twitch and YouTube. Thanks so much for watching.